What if I told you one of the most powerful tools to make transition smoother from academia into industry, whether you're doing a PhD or a postdoc, is completely free and only takes 30 minutes a week or 30 minutes every second week or once a month, depending on how much you actually leverage it. And most PhDs don't use it or do it completely wrong. What am I talking about? Of course, I'm talking about coffee chats, aka informational interviews. And yes, I know some call them informational interviews, but honestly, I prefer coffee chats. It takes the formality out of the chat. It makes it immediately more conversational. It makes it more laid back. And this is really what it is. So let me tell you a little bit about my own experience with informational interviews and why they're my absolute favorite free tool out there. So when I was halfway through my own PhD at Karolinska Institute, I had that constant background noise in my head. What can I do after my PhD with my degree? What am I good at? Where do my skills fit? What if I don't want to stay at the bench? What else can I do? And the one thing that really no one tells you, not your supervisor, and not really anyhow, is starting to have conversations, lots of them. And that changed everything for me. It really helped me to dial in where do I want to go next. And it just shows you have to be proactive in this transition. And here is what I see a lot with PhDs who are trying to figure out their next step. They sit alone with their laptop, they read some job listings and job posts, and they read these descriptions and everything feels completely foreign. And then they either apply to things that they're really not sure about, or they freeze because they don't even know where to begin. They don't know if their skill set fits. What would it actually mean to work in that job? Because it's really hard to know if you would enjoy a job if you have never done it. So, and here's the thing. You can read hundreds of job descriptions about data scientists or medical science liaison and still have absolutely no idea what it actually feels like to do the job and whether you enjoy it or not, right? So that information can only come from real people working in industry. And that's exactly what coffee chats are for. So before we jump into coffee chats, I want to clarify one thing, what a coffee chat is and what it isn't. It's not going to ask someone for a job. It's not going to ask someone for a referral. It is not a transactional ask. What it is, it's a 20 to 30 minutes laid back conversation where you can learn, where you can ask questions, and where you can build connections. And I want you to remember this because this is one of the most misunderstood things when it comes to networking in general. Networking is not about asking. It's about building genuine relationships. And the foundation, as you know from your private relationships, is trust. And in order to build trust, as you know, it takes time and it takes continuous interaction to build that trust. So, and coffee chats are an excellent entry point, especially for PhDs who have no network, or most of the time, a very limited network beyond academia. So why do I love coffee chats so much, and especially for PhDs or postdocs who are trying to make the transition? And there are actually two reasons. Reason number one, you can learn what's actually out there. Most PhDs we work with, they think they have only two options, which is either academia or they move into R&D roles in industry. That's it. And that's just not true. So there are PhDs out there working as data scientists, product managers, strategy consultants, medical writers, field application specialists, program managers, you name it. And I could just go on and could give you so many different examples. But reading about these jobs online only gets you so far. But when you talk to real people who had made the jump, this is where you can actually learn what you can't find on any other website, what you can't read in a job description, what they wish they had known, what was surprising to them, what are the skills that actually help them to break into the industry, and what does it feel like the first 90 days in industry making that transition. All of that information is golden and you won't get it out of any job ad. So that was reason number one. Let's come and speak about reason number two. You can use these coffee chats to build network. And you can build this network before you even need it. That's actually also another definition of building network. It takes time. So start early. And this is really important. The best time to build your network is before you desperately need a job. I encourage you to start maybe while you're halfway through your PhD. Think about your next step. And the same during a postdoc. If you plan not to stay, think ahead what you could do. Because when you're already in the job search mode, networking can feel very transactional. It can feel uncomfortable, but if you start early, you're just having a conversation and there is no pressure whatsoever. And I will tell you a little secret that applies to basically all humans. Everyone loves talking about themselves. And this is something you can actually use to your advantage. People genuinely love sharing their stories. Most of the time, when you reach out with genuine curiosity, people will say, yes, I promise you. And we will talk about in the video how you can reach out in order to get them to say yes. Okay, so now the big question, how do you actually find people to talk to? And I get that question all the time. So I want to talk about it. I have 3 strategies that I usually recommend, and I would start with the first one, which is the easiest one. So start with who you already know. Think about people you did a master's with, a bachelor's with, or actually your PhD cohort, or think about graduates from your group that you're currently working in. They moved somewhere, and there is a high likelihood many of them moved into industry because they simply don't fit in academia. Reach out, use that connection. This is the connection that is the closest to you, and getting a simple yes is the easiest way from these people. And it also requires less courage, because I do know the option number 3 is making PhDs and postdocs more uncomfortable. So how you reach out matters. And sometimes PhDs come to me and they say, I never get a response. So honestly, just keep it very conversational. Reach out and say something simple like, hey, I'm coming up to the end of my PhD and I'm exploring what's next. Would you be up for a 20-minute chat? I would love to hear about your experience moving into XYZ. So, and that's it. Keep it conversational. Second, use your university alumni network. Most universities have alumni directories, and LinkedIn has filters too. So you can go and search for people who went to your institution and see where they actually ended up. The power here is the shared connection. And the shared connection is the same institution. We've done a PhD at the same place. We've been there. We did a postdoc. So when I read Karolinska Institute on my message, I immediately get the familiarity in my case, right? And I feel like I want to help that person. Leveraging. I would recommend leverage it and mention it explicitly in your outreach. And the third option, that's the last one. And I know I would recommend to choose the first or the second if you're new to it, because the third one makes some PhDs and postdocs a bit uncomfortable. You reach out to complete strangers. Yes, you can 100% do that. I do it all the time on LinkedIn. People reach out to me on LinkedIn all the time. It is definitely a way of doing it. And it absolutely works if you do it right. So find people who work in a role or a company where you could imagine working in. Look at their background and write a message that shows that you have done some research on them. A generic, hi, I would love to connect, and straight going into an ask may actually get into the ignored pile. So more on the outreach in a second, because this part really, really matters. The outreach is honestly where most PhDs or postdocs go wrong. So let's fix that. The first rule is, as I already mentioned, do not write a generic message, please. When you reach out to someone, do a little bit of research, put some time in, go on their LinkedIn, look at their background, start to learn a little bit about them. And as you reach out, reference this information. And the likelihood of them responding will increase, because when you invest time in me, I want to invest time in you. And a message could go as the following. Hi, XXX. Elena, I'm finishing my PhD in neuroscience, and I've been exploring what a transition into data science could look like. I came across your profile and saw that you made a similar move from, a biology PhD. I would love to hear how you navigated it. Would you be open for a 20 to 30-minute coffee chat? And that message works because it's specific, it's personal, and it shows them you're not copy and pasting the same thing to 50 people. So the second rule is keep it short, keep your ask small. 20 to 30 minutes, not an hour. People are busy, and a small ask is much easier to say yes to. Remember that. Okay, so they said yes. That's amazing. Now what? Be prepared. This is not the time to wing it. Think about what you actually want to learn and bring questions that can't be answered by a Google search or a website where the person works. That's my rule. If I can find the answer on their company website, it's not a good coffee chat question. Here are some examples of questions I love, right? So for example, what does your average day look like? What surprised you most about industry after academia? What skills do you think matter the most in the role versus what looks good on paper? And what would you recommend someone at my stage? These are all questions that open up real conversations, and they show you're serious. You thought about what you want to learn from this conversation. Make people feel seen and give them the feeling that they spent their 20 to 30 minutes that they invest in you actually well. Also, absolutely be on time. I guess I don't have to say that. And, show that you're actually grateful for the time that they've spent with you. These people give you 30 minutes of their life for free, and acknowledge that. And when the chat is done, send a follow-up message. And it can really be just a simple thank you so much for your time. I learned a lot and really appreciate it. And that's it. It doesn't have to be this very big thing. So now here is one of the parts that most people forget. And it's actually one of the most important parts if you want to build real network. Stay connected with the person. You've already started building this relationship. You met for a coffee chat. Maybe you had a really nice conversation. Connect with them on LinkedIn if you haven't already. And then just be a human. Let's say you see a post, they got promoted. Congratulate them. If you came across an article that you find interesting, that you think they could be interesting for them, share it. If something reminds you of your conversation, drop them a quick message. Stay connected somehow. And I know what some of you are thinking right now. But Elena, what if no one replies? And here's the truth. Not everyone will, and this is already expected. So please don't think there is a 100% response rate. This is not at all what's going to happen, and it's unrealistic to expect that. So you will be ignored many times, but do not take it personal. This is a pure numbers game, but I promise you, far more people will say yes than you may expect. And especially when you outreach is personal and actually genuine, and it shows that you want to build connection and it's not just transactional. And I want to share one more thing with you because this still makes me smile when I think about it. I had a PhD come back after a coffee chat and say, Anna, you won't believe it. They actually offered to refer me into a role. And these moments are golden for me because what people see is, oh my God, if I put myself out there, if I, put myself out of my comfort zone, this is the magic that can actually happen. But I also want to remind you, this is not the goal. It's not the goal to get a referral. The goal is to learn. But I also just want to show what can potentially happen because you never know. So if you want to have a little challenge this week to actually make this episode really, really impactful, reach out to one person and ask for one coffee chat. That's it. And if you want, please share in the comments if you've done it, how it went for you, because I cannot tell you, it's absolute magic when people do that and they come back with the best stories. And if we could all share that, I think that would be phenomenal. And again, it could be someone you already know. It could be a complete stranger on LinkedIn who works in a role that you're curious about. It doesn't matter, but do something. Act. Take that one step. Because here is what I know from working with hundreds of PhDs. The transition from academia to industry can feel massive and overwhelming when you're doing it alone in your head. But the moment when you start talking to people who have already done it, it becomes much more manageable and it becomes real. And you're not starting from zero, you're starting from experience. This is a really important reminder, and these chats will show you this. If you want to go deeper on this, outreach templates, question banks, how to follow up, all of it, we have a whole module on coffee chats inside our learning platform at Almami. The link is below. And if you're ready to stop navigating this on your own and you want real hands-on support for your job search, check out our Job Accelerator program specifically built for PhDs and postdocs. The link is also in the description. But first and foremost, I just want to leave you with something. You absolutely got this, and I hope I'll see you in the next episode. If you want to learn one more thing from me, I would recommend listening to the episode, Does My First Job Need to Be the Perfect One in Industry? And I'm mentioning it because I think it could be quite relevant to this episode and really will take a lot of pressure off your chest. Having worked with 100 of PhDs, I see that this is something they're overthinking a lot. And in this video, I hope I can give you a different perspective on how you can think about it and hopefully make your own transition a bit smoother.